Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. I'm about to share screen so that we can start immediately. So welcome to the webinar. This is about the 5-step model of design assurance in projects. Now, if you recall, this is the invitation poster. Now, you notice on your left, there's a little highlighted area which I call pre-webinar thoughts. So I invited participants to think of an area in your work, your professional work, or perhaps your personal projects, which you may want to apply to the topic today. Okay. So a little bit about myself first. Just very quickly, I'm a mechanical engineer. I did my studies in University of New South Wales, Sydney, Australia. So it was a recession when I graduated. So therefore I stayed on and I did some postgraduate studies and did a bit of R&D at the university. So we were doing things. Later I came back to Malaysia. That was in 1990. So I was doing product development, a little bit R&D again, a new product introduction in the automotive safety components sector. So one company was a seatbelt company, the other was brakes. So it's all about product development. I was doing QA, in design and manufacturing, health, safety, environment. And I was also doing training and auditing in all these areas. So later on, I did a general manager MBA because I was given management responsibilities. And I did a master's by research in project management. That's why I want to mention this because I was very interested in how people learn in the project environment. And I also learned how to do recognition of prior learning, RPL. Okay, let's go to the pre-webinar thoughts. Okay, so does anyone has anything that you'd like to share? If it's possible that your topic is already in my list, but I'd love to actually add yours. So you could unmute your microphones. There's only a few of us here today. So just tell me what are the topics and I'll do my best to incorporate these examples in. Right, anyone? What topics that you do that you think you might want to use for discussion here?
Mark, I will definitely looking forward to see the topic that you can share about the design.
Okay.
So I think I want to stick on, for me, I will definitely want to stick on that to see what else that I have missed out.
Yeah. Okay. So as we go along, then you say, oh, I see where you're getting at. And what about my example? Yep, sure.
Yeah,
so it's not at any time. So you can see at the bottom, I put a line in red. Do suggest your own examples at any time. Just by speaking up. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Okay, thanks.
So just skip that.
Okay, Mark.
Yes, go ahead.
You're asking us to share what we want to project, is it?
That's right.
A program. Okay. Now what I want to do is, I have always been in training of wellness coaches and instructors, but I haven't been doing it for the past 5 years because of some medical challenges. But I think now I'm ready, but I'm still like not going into my first gear even. I mean, I believe that my starting with VLCs could be the first gear now. So now I just need some help and some idea to like get me in, kick my back or something like that.
So you're saying you would like to do courses online now, virtually now, and that's the new thing for you, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's it now, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, yes. like all of us now. Yeah, just like all of us. Yeah, great. Okay. Anyone else?
Actually, what is this design assurance? Do you mean why certain things are designed certain ways and all that?
Right. Okay. You look at the. I'm back to the invitation poster where I said, "Have you ever been dissatisfied with the outcome of something that you have planned or designed?" Now, we're not talking about not necessarily talking about R&D or jet engine or whatever. It could be, oh, I want to plan a birthday party for my mother on Mother's Day. You know, so you're planning, you're designing the whole event. You know what I mean? We'll have entertainment. I'll try a new recipe. I mean, whatever you design. Yeah. But the output was not what you expected. It was not as good as what you expected. So design assurance simply means we have the confidence that whatever we want to do will meet or exceed our expectations. Of course, all the R&D guys, whether it's jet engines or they use that as well. just now somebody talked about training costs, or a general training cost, which I guess all of us would be interested in. You've been asked to develop a new training course, for example, or a new education event. How do you're going to run for the very first time, and you may have to run 10 times in the whole year, right? So how do you know it's going to be good? Will the first batch be the worst one? Will the first one be the real guinea pig? They really suffer, they learn nothing. So design assurance means get a sneak preview. I wrote a word here. Can you, maybe you are able to get a sneak preview of what it's going to be like before you actually do it. I mean, that'll be wonderful, right?
Oh.
Yeah, that's what
like do a dry run sort of thing, is it?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so does that answer your question?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so it could be anything. Yeah, okay. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, a little bit of awareness. Now, what are the consequences of poor design assurance? In other words, you plan something, right? And it ended up that the outcome of whatever you planned did not actually meet or exceed the agreed or expected requirements. Now, you can think about your own projects or those that are in the public eye. What happens that the outcome of a project does not meet the agreed or expected requirements? What are some consequences? Let's take a look at our own example. You are asked to develop a training course, for somebody, whether face-to-face or online, doesn't matter. So you were doing your lessons plan, you're doing everything. And then when you deliver it, it didn't meet the expected requirements. What are some consequences?
We don't get paid.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
No, I said we don't get paid.
Oh, yeah.
They don't engage you. They don't engage you anymore.
Money impact, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody is trying to get in, okay? Two people enter the room directly. Fantastic, right? I welcome. Oh, okay. I still got to admit them, right?
They're in the waiting room.
Yep, I just clicked.
Anita,
yeah.
They are joining in now. Yep. Okay, welcome everybody. We just started, right? So we're just saying that if the outcome of whatever you plan doesn't work out well, so there'll be a financial impact, right?
Yeah.
There'll be a financial impact.
You should have your brand image impact yourself, for example.
Somebody, then you have your image.
Yeah.
Sabara said no repeat business, right?
Yeah. They will not come to you again, right?
Yeah.
Sabara, that's what you meant, right?
And I think we all agree in any business we need two things. We need repeat business and we need referrals, right? So if this happens to us, not only we don't get paid or we lose money or we have to spend more money to repair it, or our image or brand takes you suffer and you're not going to get recommendations. And in this social media age, people may praise you, but they complain even faster.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we keep this in mind. And of course, those big projects in the public eye, projects get canceled, accidents happen, cost overrun. I can imagine that the public will not be happy, right? Okay. So we keep that in mind. Yeah. Okay. Now here's a very brief overview. I'll just show you what the 5 steps are very quickly. So the first step is called research, which is basically whatever you plan to do. Okay. Training course, planning a birthday party for a loved one. Yeah. Doesn't matter. You do your research first. You collect any data or information relevant to the project you're doing. Second, based on the data and information you have at hand, then you do the actual design work. So that means you have to make some decision. For example, I'm planning, maybe your parents, 50 years anniversary, right? Wow, it will be a big dinner. Okay, how many people I'm going to invite? What would the menu be like? And so on, right? So a lot of decisions to make, right? The scope, and so on, right? Then up to point 1 and 2, you only have ideas. You got nothing in real life, right? 3, you do the actual development. The R&D people call it prototyping. So software people who write a new software, the first draft software is called prototype. It's not the final version, if you like. Okay. Then you have to operationalize it. Step 4 means make it real. Now I put the words like implementation feasibility. Let's say Shahrul said, I'm going to invite 1,000 people. Say, hey, Shahrul, are you sure? 1,000? Maybe it's too big, and you want to do it all in one evening. You say, hey, maybe don't do that. So feasibility means, is it technically doable? Is it financially feasible? And of course, if it's a business type project, are the returns worthwhile? are the risks acceptable? Okay, so operationalize means whatever you develop, it's time to make it real. So it's like saying, I develop a new recipe, I cooked it in my kitchen, it tastes fantastic. Operationalize means you have to cook it many times in the restaurant, right? Cook in big quantity, you see. The development is my kitchen. Say, hey, my curry chicken tastes very nice in the kitchen. I don't get it. How come customers complaining in the restaurant? And I'm selling to 20 restaurants around the country. So doing on big scale is different from doing it in the controlled condition like your lab or your kitchen. So 3 and 4 is like that. And then 4 means I've handed over to operation. We are running it now. And 5 means let's do a follow-up. Let us analyze, go back to step 1, 2, 3, 4. What did we do well? What we could have done better? And then you keep improving. So that's a never-ending cycle of continual improvement. Now, if I redraw this in a cycle form, so we begin the research, right? So then we'll say, okay, I've collected all my data. Now I do the designing. When I've done my design, I could do the first thing for rail, right? Yeah. And then I will have to bring it to the market. Yeah. Make it operational. Maybe I have to do it repeatedly. And then I will, from the feedback, I will have to improve it, and it never ends, right? So basically, this is the model, and we call this continual improvement. Yeah. Okay, let's go into more details. Now, I've decided to use a wide range of topics as examples very quickly. First, on the left are tangibles. These are typical physical things. These are generally a little bit easier. So I'll start with the easy one. Let's say a cake. Then I talk about car brakes because I was in the business. And then 3, planning a meal. Remember the big dinner for your mother? Yeah. And then other case like, what about people doing parachute? The first time parachute, dangerous, right? And then 5, smart tunnel, those big projects. How do you test them? You're building only one, right? And then another case, a bullet train. Yeah. These are the tangibles one. And generally, physical things are a little bit easier than those in services. Services are intangible. Like food, I like my products. My products, your products different, right? Okay. So intangibles, I'm going to use a video advertisement. For example, a company asks you, you're an advertising company, please develop a 30-second video for me. Now, those are not easy, right? It's hard to specify what is acceptable. I will link to that will be like movies, And 3, I think all of us will be interested in number 3, training effectiveness. Yeah, I've come up with my lesson plan. I believe it's going to be a good training course. And this big company asked me to do 10 intakes per year, Now, if I bungle up the first one, I'm going to lose up the other 9, right? Like Sahra was suggesting, right? So how do I do my design assurance on the first one? I cannot tell the client, hey, can I test you? Can I use your first batch as a guinea pig? Kalau gagal tak apalah. No, they will never accept that. They expect, hey, you have a good reputation. I expect you to be top quality from day one, right? So no such thing as a try and error, So this, I think all of us are interested in number 3. And then I'll use a couple other examples, right? Like software, or some people do market surveys, right? Or your company, you want to design a questionnaire. I want to survey people. Hey, how do I know the questionnaire is good or not? Okay. And whatever else you want to volunteer, like Cheryl said, after we discuss it, oh, I get the idea now. How about this one? Then we'll discuss it. Okay. Now, a little bit of a memory jog for you, a not quite irrelevant observation. Did anybody notice the significance of the photograph on my invitation poster? If so, can you tell me what was it?
Was it the cake with the slice out coming out?
Yes, it was a cake, right? But do you notice anything about the cake? What else do you notice about the picture?
White icing.
Would you like to take another look?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let me just go back. Yeah.
Where's the cake? Where's the cake?
What cake?
Show us the cake again.
There is a durian cake.
Right, Cheryl. Thank you.
Yes, at the back.
Durian cake.
I didn't see the cake.
Only a real Malaysian would notice a durian. Because of the cake, right? Okay.
Focus on wrong thing, Okay.
Yeah.
Ice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So in fact, I will use that because I said cake is the easiest, right? Okay, so I'll use the durian cake as a first example. Okay, very simple one. Now let's imagine we are a bakery, we are like secret recipe, not one of those chains of bakery. That means we are not baking one cake for our own family to consume. We're going to develop a new cake, and if it's good, we'll market it our new product, for 2021. Okay, so let's run through the model. Now, first of all, so a bit more detail. Let's step one, do research, right? So I must determine the stakeholder needs by collecting all the relevant data and information. Now I got a quick question first. Why stakeholders? Why not customer only or clients only? Why stakeholder needs? Yeah. Why not just customer needs? Now this
Yeah,
could
because
be
we're answerable to the
yeah.
stakeholders, right?
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely right. Like for example, when I was in the seatbelt company, we Proton is our client, our customers. We sell to Proton, they pay us money, right? But the seatbelt should be designed for you, the driver, right? Because when you buy the car, you don't pay the money to me, that means you're not my direct customer. But when I design the thing, I should be designing for you, the driver, right?
Driver, correct.
So I gotta look after everybody, not just my customer. Customer is Proton. If they say seatbelt very cheap, never mind. I cannot do that. I have a responsibility to my drivers, you see. So it's important to share with our project team. Hey, don't look only at the final customer, look at everybody else. So we design laptops or cars, not only the driver find it easy to use, but also easy to service, easy to maintain, and easy everything else. Can you imagine? Every time you want to change your car engine oil, you must take out the whole engine. That is a stupid design, right?
Yes.
You say, who designed this? This is crazy, right? Because your maintenance cost will go up. So it's stakeholder needs and not only customer needs. Now, a little warning here. Be careful not to confuse needs with wants. So what's the difference?
Well, wants are good to have, but needs need to have. Right?
Yes, correct.
Need is the expectations, right? What you want to have.
That's right. So needs are essential, let's call it. Yeah, marketing term, must have. If the needs are not met, they will not be happy. Wants will be kind of like nice to have, extra. You give to them, they'll take it. But you don't have it, not a big deal. Yeah?
Mark, quick questions.
Yes.
Your questions that highlight in yellow. What is QU means?
Oh, QU is question.
Question, okay.
My question to you, sorry.
Your short form. Okay, great.
Yeah. Right?
Okay.
Yep. Now, so in other words, this little question I put here suggests that we or our team must know the priorities of the customer, right? Now, sometimes it's obvious because I may also be a user. Like I'm also a driver, but sometimes it's not so obvious, right? So how do we do this? We'll have to maybe have a really in-depth discussion with the clients, right? Now, let's say, for example, you have discussed with your client, whatever your industry, right? And your team came up with 30 items, and your team says 10 are needs. We believe these are absolutely essential for clients, remaining 20. And out of the remaining 20, 10 are wants. That means we believe that it's not that essential. And the remaining last 10, we are not sure. So what do we need to do? Get back to the client, right? Now, let's say Sharul's my client. Hey, Sharul, my team have interviewed your people. We've visited the company. We've spoken to your customers. There are 30 items here. We believe these 10 are really important for you. Sharul, can you confirm this, please? Now, Sharul could say 8 of them, yes, but 2 of them actually no need, right? Remember, it's only my opinion. I should confirm this with my client, right? Yeah. Then next, Sharul, these 10 items I believe are of secondary importance to you. Could you also confirm that? Then Sharul said, no. Actually, 3 items we need a lot. Oh, thanks for telling me. I didn't realize that, right? Okay. And then Sharul, what about this 10? We are not sure, you know. Then Sharul says, 2 of these are essential, 5 of it no need, and the other 3 don't know. Mr. Ma, can you recommend us? Can you suggest to us? Now you can see what I'm trying to do here, right? Take one more step. Whatever your professional expert opinion is, just go back and have one conversation with your client and say, let's just see whether we have understood each other well. Now, imagine if we don't do this, a lot of problems can happen later, right? You know, people will be saying, hey, I thought this, you thought that, right? So this is something, obviously, most of us have learned from experience. Okay. So another little warning, nearly impossible to get all the necessary information at any one time.
Correct.
So we just do our best, right? Okay. So for durian cake, tell me, can you give me an example? What are the needs? Let's say we are the secret recipe bakery design team. We are the master baker, right? We have been asked to, and they've done survey. People say, hey, make durian cake. Your chocolate very nice. Can you make durian cake? So we are responding to the market needs, right? Okay, guys, let's identify. What do you think are the needs of the durian cake customer or the consumer? we're not focusing on the company now. You know what, efficiency, all that, right? We're looking at the consumer, the one who eats the cake. What are their needs? Examples?
Must be real durian inside the cake.
Right. So let me paraphrase a bit. So you say genuine durian taste, right?
Yeah, a taste. Okay.
Taste. And smell.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot smell like chemical.
Yeah.
What else? Besides genuine durian taste and smell?
I want the presentation. How
Okay,
it
presentation is the need or want?
It can be a need, it can be a want.
Yeah, depends on the customer. Some of the high-end ones are okay, we keep that there.
Correct.
Presentation, that means yeah, does it look nice and all that, right?
Yeah.
What else? Okay, how about this one?
Halal.
Halal.
Oh, yes.
Maybe I say some of my Muslim customers,
Important.
yeah, some Muslim customers say, well, cake, there's nothing of animal origin, okay. I just want to give confidence to my Muslim customers, right? I want to make, look, I'm the designer. I can choose to make it a need, right?
Yes, yes.
Even if my customers say, hey, don't worry, ma, it's okay. No. I just, that's you. Maybe others not confident. I want my confidence. So up to me.
Correct.
Okay, what about sensitive topic? This one. How about this one?
Calories.
After listening to Sabara,
Yeah.
I'm very conscious of this now. What do you think? What do you think our cake eaters or cake consumer needs
Sugar high
calories?
for sure.
Kurang, less is it?
No, more.
Yeah.
Oh,
halal is important.
Who said that?
As long as it tastes good and smell good, is
Yeah, don't take
It is
durian now.
good. I know this is a dilemma. See, we are designer, poor designer. You said, low salt, low sugar, low calorie, low everything, but also become low taste, right?
Oh, no.
I want high taste. Okay, guys.
You Sabara, your work will be very challenging lah.
Okay, what about this? I'm inspired by Sabara. Okay, I'm saying, what if we come up with a recipe? A recipe. The more they eat, the more they lose weight.
Wow.
Eat 100 gram, lose 50 gram. Well, like that every day, like 1 kg. If our team can design this, I think our company will list it in 1 year.
Yes.
Yeah, worldwide.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, that's the dream. Okay. So agree. These are the things. Okay. So we want this to be genuine durian taste and smell. It's going to be halal. Not too many calories, and generally look nice. Secondary requirement will be
low calories.
Yeah. Secondary requirements will be things like I can make any shape. Can make any shape.
Okay.
All right. You want the cake to be in the shape of Penang Island? Can, no problem. But those are secondary, right? Yeah, those are secondary. But the main thing is must address. Look, in other words, any of these things we have written down, if it's not there, some customers may not be happy with that. So the cake we're designing, okay?
Yes.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, second step. Okay, let's design the cake then. So the people who do design, what we call designers, in this case is master baker, they have to translate the needs to specifications. Now we use it word a lot, specs for short. What are they for? What's the function or purpose of specification? When you buy a car, you mentioned, right, 1.5 liter, gray color, What's the function of specification?
Fuel injection.
To meet your qualifying criteria.
Yeah, when your customers look at the specification, what does it represent to them? Well, you believe rumah, you buy a house, you see the specs, right? You buy a car, you look at the specs. Yeah.
Follow the spec. Follow the spec.
It's a certain standard.
Right. So you are telling the customer, this is information. This is what you are getting, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to use very simple language. The specification represents to the customer.
Yes.
This is what they're buying. This is what you are getting for your money. Now,
Yeah.
for us, the producer, whether you're producing training course or durian cake or a car, this is what you promise people, right?
Yeah. You must deliver what you promise. Yeah.
Now, why we need the specs? Well, remember our case was we are selling durian cake, developing new durian cake, selling in we got 100 bakery around the country, right? And they're going to bake in every location. It has to be consistent. So the specification is a guideline for people who are going to do it repeatedly, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a communication device, if you like. Specifications are a communication device. Number one, communicate to the customer. This is what you're going to get. And for us, this is what we have to produce consistently every day.
Like
Yep.
KFC
Yeah?
lah.
Okay. Now,
Yeah,
there are
yeah.
two types of spec. Okay. We got product spec, which describe the product, and we got process spec, which
Process.
describe the process. Now, I'm going to come here for a second. Can you give me some examples for our durian cake? Example, product spec first. Give me contoh. Let's say we are a team developing this.
We'll just have to think about what type of durian we want to use. For
Oh,
example,
Musang.
durian musang ke.
Okay,
I don't know.
D24. Let's say we have we're going to offer 3 varieties or something like that. Okay. Okay. What else?
Yeah. Varieties.
I'm not sure. Is the durian come from for example, Musang King? Is it come from one state or
Aiyo.
from different state?
Yes.
No, it's so specific. Okay,
Ah,
let me give you
is
another
it-
example. Let me example. Okay,
Ah.
the cake will be 1 kg. So we are going to produce 1 kg cake. We may also make 500 gram cake. Okay,
Okay.
so that's example of products because you describe the product. Okay, another example. What about the shape?
Round, square.
Okay, be more specific. Remember, spec is very specific. Okay, I'll give you an example. 30 cm diameter.
Oh.
Okay, be specific. Don't just say round because
Okay.
a sphere is also round, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
30 cm diameter, let's say 10 cm high.
Height. Okay.
You get the general idea?
Yes. yes.
You specify, the size, the weight, the shape or whatever.
Right.
Okay, what about process spec? Because remember, my 100 bakery around the country have to
Halal.
do it consistently. No, the
Halal.
process. How do I produce this spec? How do I produce the cake?
How do you
I
produce?
have to design the processes as well. For example,
take the durian from the durians plucked or not plucked, but
okay, I assume we will be getting the durian flesh from our suppliers.
Okay.
Okay. So in our bakery kitchen, we'll do things like the actual recipe, right? For example, mixing instructions.
Okay.
For example, you put how many gram of tepung, how many gram of white grade sugar, how many gram of butter, how many gram of Musang King, berapa gram, you have to specify, right?
Okay.
And then you mix 20 minutes.
Right.
And our solar, clockwise or anti-clockwise, choose one. Cannot tukar direction. Tukar direction, the mixture different, the texture different.
Really?
Yes, that's all I told. Very advanced. I can't tell the difference, but anyway, that's all I was told.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what about this? Baking, time, and temperature, right? You have to specify, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise, around the country, some overcooked, some not cooked, all that, right?
Yes.
And I just mentioned something we forgot, ladies and gentlemen. Just now, the requirements, right?
Yes.
What about texture?
Texture.
What about texture?
Yes.
For example, you want the durian cake to be crunchy or what?
Or
Our expert. How? Texture of cake, Albina.
Mana boleh cakap crunchy? Crunchy not cake. Crunchy are for biscuits.
Yeah.
Cake must be soft and fluffy.
Soft and fluffy. Okay, I will use this word.
Creamy.
Okay, see what you think of this word.
Melting
Melting. Mana?
In your
in your
mouth.
mouth.
Oh, that's
Melt
good.
in your mouth texture. That means that you take satu sudu, these durian cakes are here, put on your in your mouth, tutup mata, tutup mulut, and then without doing anything, your whole brain will be filled with kedurianan.
Kedurian.
Okay? Well, you can visualize that. I'm sure your eye lure is already beginning to activate sikit.
Oh no, I'm using my nose.
Okay, right?
Oh.
Now, let's say we design already. Yeah, we know what the product look like. We also know how to bake the cake, right? You know how to prepare and all that, right? Okay. Now we have to do something called design review. Now, review in Malay looks like pandang sekali lagi, right? Remember, review, right? So,
yes.
what is design review? We got a spec already, right? We have all these specifications. Fantastic. We're very excited now. But before we start doing anything, let's do a design review. What's design review, you think? And let me remind you by showing you that diagram tadi. Remember? Here we have the info, right, on the needs, right? And now we have the specs, right? And before we start developing the actual cake, we want to pandang balik. Go back. We call it design review. What is this? Why are we doing this?
To reconfirm that we have it right.
Yeah. You're gonna say, Cheryl will say, hey ma, you say all this combination, how many gram, mix, how you bake, how you bake. Will they give us the needs? So we are the expert. We said, yeah, with this combination, I think we should be able to get a cake that will have a genuine durian taste and smell. It'll be halal because we know the ingredients. And of course, our secret recipe, the calorie very low, and it will be melt in your mouth. We believe this combination. But in case you left out something, you say, oh yeah, we haven't taken care of that. Then you go back and redesign it. Okay, it's just like we said just now. Go back to your client and confirm with them. Are you okay with this? Okay. Now, let's say we've done that. Now, so far, step 1 and 2, we only have theory, no cake yet.
Yes.
We may have a picture of the cake, you have the description, but no physical cake. So now to the third step, we call development. Now, notice the 3 words: research, design, and development. Most companies just call it research and development, R&D. But actually, it's 3 steps. Okay. In fact, I've seen some company, they call their department the 3 words: research, design, and development department. Okay. So how do we develop the cake now? Make sure you do adequate development and testing that your product, which is not a finalized version yet, and remember we call it prototype, right? Number 1, comply with the specification. And number 2, will also meet the stakeholder needs. Now, notice there are 2 stages here. The first stage is, we call it design verification. Now, the word verify means to confirm something. We want to confirm that your prototype meets the design specifications. Now, let's go back to our cake, right? So we're going to bake a cake, right? So we follow the instruction, right? Take how many grams of sugar and everything, mix it at the recommended speed and time, bake it at a certain temperature and time, etc., etc. Now, for the first time, we take it out of the oven. Our first version, prototype number 1, is on our kitchen table. All 7 of us, all 5 of us here, all 6 of us here are the master bakers. Okay, this is the first version, right? How do I do design verification now? That means, how do we confirm whether this first cake meet our design spec? Suggestion? What's the first step?
Taste test to the public, is it?
Okay, no, not to the public. We do ourselves first.
Oh.
If it's no good, it will be a disaster, right? Let's do ourselves first. Remember, we are the 6th master baker here, right? In our kitchen, right? Okay. So I'll put taste here last. You know why? Because we have to do other things first. Now, remember just now, one side was what? 1 kg, right? Remember?
Yes.
1 kg. Wait first. Wait.
So what should we measure first?
I think
Wait
the
first,
research
timbang?
team should timbang the berat and the
Right,
research
so-
team also
Right.
be
So
able
we weigh it first, right? And then we measure the dimensions, right?
Wait first. Yeah.
We say what 30 cm diameter,
Dimension, right.
what 10 cm high. We want to measure all that. In fact, during the baking, we measure the temperature, we measure the time, all measured also, right? But the final cake, we have to measure the weight, measure the dimensions. Don't worry, was it Shahrul just now? Don't worry, eventually you get to eat. So imagine we're in the kitchen, yes. Hey, how was the weight? Alamak, Shahrul really took 1 big bite, you know. Yeah, okay. So in other words, so we have, I'm an engineer, we like to use proper word like this. We have a testing protocol.
Testing protocol.
Okay. Anyway, I'm happy that Shahrul used the correct term, taste. At least he didn't say eat.
yeah.
The boss will say,
Okay, finish.
yeah, the boss will say, hey, Shahrul, I hire you pay salary to taste the food, not eat the food. No.
Have to eat the food.
And taste only. And you know how they do it? First, you gargle your mouth with water. Why? Because it depends what you ate for breakfast can affect your taste. Then you taste a bit and you're not allowed to swallow. They give you tissue. You have to take it out of your mouth. Why? Because banyak lagi cake nak uji tau. You think come to job every day eat 10 slices. It will affect your judgment anyway. Okay. So notice this is what we do to confirm. Now, for example, all of us said that yeah, the berat, all that all correct, but the taste, I think not tak cukup durian taste and then too sweet and everyone say yeah, I agree. So obviously we have to review the recipe, right? right? So if our opinion is not enough durian taste not strong enough, and it's too sweet, what do you think we will do? What do you think we will do?
Reduce the sugar.
Right. So we go back to the design stage, right? Because remember, we are stage 3 now. We go back to design stage, change the recipe, right? So let's say we said we put 100 gram sugar, we reduce to say 80 gram. Lah. And durian, at first we put also 100 gram, and we said not enough. Maybe we try what, 120. Now, the bakers are supposed to be expert. You should be able to get this combination correct, maybe after what, 2 to 3 attempts, right? Correct? If they're really expert, right?
Yes.
So you taste the case, I think 30 gram more should do it, lah. You know, maybe 2-3 tries, right? But what if your baker say, second version, sugar kurang 1 gram, third version kurang 1 gram. Wow, how many 100 versions you going to make? I think you boleh pecah semua lah, right? So if they're expert, it's just like trainers. They ask you, you show your lesson plan to your client. The client make some make some noise. Then you should know how to adjust within 2-3 times, right? Not
Yes.
100 times, right? Okay. Now let's say confirm and then we did the third try. Our third cake, everybody tasted, and we said, this is what we meant in stage 1. You know, that means we believe we found the correct combination. Okay. So what's the next step now? Remember? What do you do next?
Operations, production.
Belum. Remember, we said this one is the 2-step stage. Remember, 3A is confirm the prototype meet the design spec, and then just now I think what is Charo? 3B.
Yeah.
Confirm with the customers now. Now you're free to test the market. Do a market trial if you want. Now we call it design validation. Confirming the prototype that has already been verified, of course. Also meet the needs. So let's bake 20 cakes using our final version of recipe. Send to 20 of our restaurants somewhere in Klang Valley, no need to send all the way to Perlis, right? And then we'll give free sample to customers, right?
Yes.
And then we ask customer, give us a feedback, give us an honest feedback.
Right.
All right. Now, this one, because durian, you cannot do the random sampling, because random sampling happened to take masala, and the guy doesn't like it. I'll use the same word. It will invalidate our research, right?
Yes.
Okay. We asked her, hi sir, hi ma'am, do you like durian? Oh, wonderful, you love durian, it's fantastic. We have just developed a new durian cake. We would like you to try. Would you like to try a free a slice? And please give us a feedback. If someone said, no lah, durian, I don't quite like. Oh, it's okay. Maybe you can try a banana cake. We also do banana cake. Okay, so we're going to be a bit careful with such things. Okay, the results are in. We tested 1,000 customers. 500 said, this is perfect. I want to order. Can take everyone's order. So perfect lah. The other 500 said, I like the durian taste, really, but too sweet for me lah. That means we got mixed results now. So what do you do? Suggestions, team? Remember, we are the product development team here. What shall we do? Half say perfect, half say
for me, I think both customer is important. Maybe I have an option of less sugar, because people are now health conscious, right? You have one regular, one less sugar.
Absolutely, I agree with you. So let's have 2 versions then. We have the normal version and we have the kurang manis version, right?
Yeah.
But marketing will give you some name. Marketing will know, hey, how can you call our cake normal? You will call it super and duper, okay? How can you call it biasa? Biasa is for lousy company. Okay? Yes. So one is super, one is duper. Okay? But you get a general idea. Test it before you reach the market. Otherwise, it will be very costly. We said, what, the image, the branding, all suffer, right? Yeah. Imagine it's a total failure. Quietly withdraw from market, right? How many times have you seen people do that? Yeah. Okay. So how do you do that? Remember, test with real customers. Yeah, wherever possible. Right. Now, okay, let's go to step 4. Okay, we got a combination, got approval from a manager, right? Management. Time to operationalize. Now, how do we do it? First will be your SOPs, right? Remember, we are the master baker. We know how to do it. but we have 100 restaurants around the country. They are going to have to bake the cake fresh every day. So we have to give them detailed SOP, right? And then we have to train them, right? These are the employees, right? So this is the training bit. Train them how to bake, how to store, how to serve, how to everything, right? And of course the equipment, right? Hey, for durian cake, different from baking, preparing chocolate cake. Oh, and then storage different because the durian cake you must keep cool. So all these things, and give them the means to control quality. In other words, when something is wrong, they know how to correct themselves, right? So all these 4 conditions must be met. In other words, the design team or the project team, you have to design all these things. Design the SOP, design the training program for the employees. You may even have to design training or awareness training for your customers. What's the best way to appreciate durian cake? You buy my durian cake, put in a car under the hot sun, 3 hours later, sampai rumah, then you say my cake not nice. So we have to educate the customer. So that's why we said stakeholder needs, not just the customer needs. Okay, and you can apply this model to the sub activities. So, example, how would you validate each of the steps? So, example, SOP, how to validate, how to make sure the SOP works.
Checklist.
No, let's say you've written SOP. This is how you bake the cake, right? This is how you make one. Okay. So how do you know the SOP is accurate and correct? Because you have to make sure it's correct, right? Otherwise it'll be a disaster when we launch it nationwide. So how do we test the SOP? How do we do design validation of the SOP? We have designed the SOP, we have written the SOP, we have done the design review, we believe that it has covered all the topics. Now how do you validate it?
Trials.
Who should test it?
Who should test it?
Now, who should test our new SOP?
The ones we put wherever the restaurants are.
Right. In other words, the actual worker, right?
Oh yes.
Because you and I, we are nothing. Of course, we know but the actual worker. So we go to a trial. We go to one of the restaurants, give the SOP worker butcher, and then you ikut tengok. Then you see what he do, right? If he do everything correct, I think, wow, our SOP is perfect, right? If we start doing something unusual, say, hey, what do you do there? Sebab you kata macam ni? Then we know already. We have to change the words, right? Our SOP was interpreted in a different way. Okay. Now here's another question. Now in Malaysia, frequently we have SOP in more than one language, right?
Yes.
I've got standard Bahasa Malaysia. I got Mandarin version, Tamil version, and I got Kelantanese. I got Kelantanese some more. So let's say I design this thing using Malay, and then I want to make Mandarin version and English version. How do I validate the translated version?
Wow.
Suggestions, anyone?
I think you look at the consistency of the final product from each of the locations.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You can test the final result, or you are just testing. You can just do what we did with the first SOP, right? Let's say I got a English recipe. English SOP. Give it to a worker who can understand English. Ask him, read the English version, and then you do. You can observe him, right? Yes. And then you have a guy reading a Tamil SOP. Don't show him anything else. And then you watch him do it, right?
Right.
So in other words, doesn't matter what you translate to, just show it to the person and ask him to show me how. Okay, you show me how you do now.
Understand, yeah.
That's always the best way. Now, the professional translator, they do another way. You know what they do? They'll say, okay, your original in English are good. Let me translate to Malay first. And then you give the Malay version to another translator and ask the person to translate back to English, and you compare this version with the original English. Now, that can be very interesting, right?
Yes.
There's an old game called Chinese Whisper. You know the game, right? All of us in the room, I will give the trainer give them a message, right? A short message, right? Maybe the person read it, whisper in the ear of the next person.
Other person.
Who will whisper. By the time reach around the room, 20 people, the message totally distorted.
Yes.
The game is called Chinese Whisper. Okay.
Oh.
So because of that translation, but maybe the easiest way to me is this is a Malay version SOP. You give to a guy who can read Malay. You baca. Okay. Now you buat. That's always the easiest. Yeah. Okay. And training, we'll come back to that, okay? We'll come back to training later because that's our major topic. So everything operational, right? When all these four already, hey, SOP tested, our workers, they know what to do, equipment all running properly, Great. Let's go live now. So restaurants now are busy baking the durian cake every day, selling durian cake every day, right? Now our project team, our job nearly done. Let's go to step 5. I call it improvement. Why? Establish effective communication with the program customers. For example, even though we've done nationwide launch, still go and observe for yourself. I know we are trained the workers. I know, but it's early days, right? Go and, I don't want to call it audit, but go and observe. Make sure they know and understand how to use the product because it's new, you see. Monitor and record what they are happy with, not happy with. Yeah, because sometimes people have bad habits. They go back to old habits. This one, they store the durian cake like a normal cake. Cannot. The durian cake has to be in the cooler because it's different, you see. They say, cake saja lah. What's the big deal, right? So some people may not have got the message. So go and observe. If there's anything wrong, you correct it, yeah, and so on. So all this will be recorded in a document, and we will review it. And if we have a stage 2, that means we have a follow-up project to come up with another version of durian cake. We will read this report from step 5, to make sure that any lessons we learn is actually incorporated. Okay, so that is how we do number 5, the 5th step, and we use one example of durian cake. So let's say we launch the durian cake, right? So we're going to observe the restaurant, maybe even talk to a few customers, right? You may get some feedback from customers about it's still a little bit too sweet or whatever it is. Then we know what to do. Go back and adjust. Right. Questions? Is it clear what the 5 steps are about?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do it. Someone is coming in. Kelvin coming in. So let's do a quick summary, right? So number 1, remember, design review. Compare the adequacy of your design specification with the needs of the stakeholder, remember? Yeah, remember we said the durian cake must be genuine durian taste, genuine durian smell. It must be halal. It must be melt in your mouth texture, not too many calories, etc. Yeah, and you think not enough, then go and change it. And number 2, design verification. Compare the prototype, your first time cake. Compare your spec. Is it 1 kg? Is it 30 cm diameter? Is it whatever? And then does the taste meet your expectation? If no, go back to design stage. Change the recipe and do it again and again until you feel that, yes. Number 2, the design has been verified. That means my prototype, my first cake, actually matches the specifications. Then the 3rd one was the real test, right? It's with a real customer. So you compare the verified prototype, remember, you're already certified, is okay, with the actual needs. Okay, we already accepted. It can be difficult in many times. Now, this is my personal take on the validation process. Testing your prototype under conditions as close to live operating conditions as possible. Now, question here for you. Why can't we always test in real life? I mean, sometimes you can, but sometimes it's really difficult. Why? Like the cake, no problem, right? I bake the cake. I know we like it. We are the master bake, we like it. Then we bake 20, we send to the restaurant, give free sample customer. That was quite easy, right? It's real customer in the real restaurant. But sometimes, depending on what you're doing, it's not that straightforward. So what are some examples?
Maybe the customer has a bad experience and then you get stuck with a bad branding.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, for example, you don't know that certain guy has some allergy to some ingredient you have, right? Yeah, that could be a real problem. But what about things like, remember just now when I showed you the list of activities, remember one of them was a parachute, right?
Yeah.
And some of you are laughing at, wow, imagine. Let's say, again, let's say we are a company. We are designing parachute, right? In today's meeting, decide who is the first fellow who jump. Today's agenda, decide, select who will jump first.
Oh dear.
And we are the first
never come back.
So everybody don't want to meet you in the eye, right? So it's dangerous. Imagine that's why I tabit those fellows the first time they fly aeroplane, because you want to test in real life, but something can be really dangerous. Look at the space shuttle. No space shuttle.
Oh yes.
They do thousands of simulation. Or when you do the first one could be your last one, right?
Yes.
You cannot really truly validate, right? Because the first one, that's it. This is a real thing, man. If you fail, that's it. You're dead. Right? So parachute, when did human first started jumping an aeroplane. We'll talk about that, okay? So anyway, this is the main thing here. There are three things we do. You review your design, compare with the original, your interpretation of the requirements, the needs. Two, when you actually come out your first version, compare with your spec. At least you say it meets the spec. But just because it meets the spec doesn't mean it meets the needs, right? That's why we have three-stage test. Okay, let's move on a little bit. Other example, okay. Let's talk about brakes, because I was in brakes, right? Now, again, same thing. What is your need for brakes? You're the customer, all of you are customers. You drive the car, you use the brake to stop the car, right? What are your needs?
I mean, when you hit the brake must stop. I mean, the brake must work.
It must work.
Yes.
Shall I say it must work safely?
Yes.
It means that it cannot stop too suddenly and it cannot take too long to stop, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You know, if you're coming down Cameron Highlands, 1 hour pressing on the brake, it can become very, very hot down there. And when it's very hot, you can lose the braking effect. So we have a design to take care of that, right?
Okay.
What about the brakes reliability? What is the customer need for that? How reliable do you think the customers want the brakes to be?
100%, 110%.
100%. But you and I know there's no such thing 100%, right?
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, if I give 99%, what does that mean? Now, sometimes customers don't understand the technical stuff. So I will simplify it. 99% reliable means 100 times you press the brake, 99 times it works. Don't use negative language. Don't say one time you fail. Say 99 times it works. So, okay, boleh terima? You say, hey, no lah. Okay, how about 99.9%? That means 1,000 times you press the brake, 999 times it works.
Not acceptable for the 1,000.
You said you said you wanted 100%, right? But like I said, you and I know there's no such thing as 100%. Okay, and you are well educated, and you tell me that the man on the street will say, I want 150%, right? So what does that mean? Does it mean that you press the brake, the car go backwards? Obviously, it doesn't mean that, right? So it means that, hey, this is a safety thing, man. I really want super high reliability. Okay, let me summarize. The car brakes must stop my car safely, very high reliability, under all road conditions and under all weather conditions, right? Okay, fine. So we will design the thing, we're engineers, and we can speak for you. We don't go to supermarket to interview people because we're also drivers, okay? So we design the thing and we will test in the lab. Now, for the brake pad alone, the part that wears out and then you replace every 50,000 kilometers, that part alone, I can tell you, we have more than 100 verification tests. Why? Why so many? Because it's a safety product, okay? So all this must lose. Anything fail, go back and change the design, okay? So once it passes all the test, now the key question, ladies and gentlemen, how should this company validate the design? This is a key one, remember? How do we validate the design of the brake? I told you about the high temperature, right? One of my validation tests, we put the brakes in an oven, 600 degrees Celsius for 6 hours. Come out, it must still work. Okay, that's the oven test. Okay, Cameron Highlands, we tested 500 degrees Celsius. So oven, we put 600. 6 hours. Okay. All those are verification. My question is the validation test. And just to remind you, what's my definition? Test your prototype under conditions as close to real life operating conditions. So how should this company validate their brakes? What do you think?
Real road testing then.
Correct. Put the brake in the real car and go down Cameron Highlands, right? Whereas just now I put in an oven in the lab. Yeah, that's very nice, very impressive. But have you put in the real car and come down Cameron Highlands? That is the difference between a validation test, a real test. Whereas the one in the lab, the oven, is actually a verification test. Because my spec says, the brake must perform like this after being placed in the oven at 600 degrees Celsius for 6 hours. Come out, it must still perform like this. That is verification, that's specification. But the real test is the user will say, look, I don't care what temperature you do, okay? When I come on Cameron Highlands, it must work. Right? Yes. They don't care about all the engineering stuff. The temperature, yes. Does it work or not? Okay, so again, you see the fine difference, the fine distinction. Okay, now video. Now this one, the next most important one, because first service is harder. All of us, let's say all of you are advertising company. I am McDonald's. I'm your client. I want you to design a 30-second commercial for TV, my Warga Mas campaign. I want to make retired people want to come to McDonald's. Because normally it's the young people and the children, right?
Yes.
Hey, first stage research. You will look up, I will arrange for you, visit my restaurant, find out, do a lot of old people come to McDonald's, what do they eat, blah, 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 and all that. Yeah. Then you design. Okay, first it must be 30 seconds. Let's design together, okay? 30 seconds. Should there be a retired person?
Yes.
Yes. So I saw a real one. Yeah, the grandmother. Should we have a grandson? A grandchild?
Yes, of course.
Yes. Yeah. Shall we ask so many things? Now, the one I saw, of course, you have 4 versions, right? Malay, Chinese, Indian version, 4 languages. Grandson asked grandma, okay? I saw a speed up. Grandson, grandma, take me to McDonald's. And grandma said something interesting. But I don't eat beef. She mentioned the beef, and it's a negative. My question to all of you, ladies and gentlemen, why did the designer include this beef point? And mind you, it's a negative point, right?
Yes.
Why?
Because this is a valid consideration for Malaysian audience.
Okay.
We have Hindus who don't eat beef.
Right. Who are the people who don't eat beef?
I think the Hindus and the vegetarians.
Right. Hindus, vegetarians, vegans, and so on, right?
Yeah.
But it's a negative. So why mention it at all? But we know McDonald's main meat is beef, right? We know that. Okay. But why mention a negative? If it's a positive, never mind.
Oh, to give confidence to the ones who think that this is only beef.
Okay. Some people even suggested maybe it's to introduce other menu, which is true. The grandson said, but grandma, they have other things. They have chicken, they have fish, they got veggie burger, they got all kind of things, right? But they could have done the video like this. Grandma, take me to McDonald's. Grandma says, what do they have? They have chicken and fish and whatever, right?
Oh.
So I suspect it was because all the people who don't eat beef, they cannot relate to McDonald's. So when the moment the McDonald's advertisement come on, immediately their mind, they switch off, you see. So what do they do when they switch off, right? So that's why they purposely put there. But I don't eat beef, the grandma said. All these people say, yalah, macam saya lah, right? And before they switch off, the child says, but grandma, they have other things like chicken and fish. And then these people out there will say, betul juga, okay lah, I take him lah, he can, I will eat my chicken lah, my grandson gave. I only suspect that this is
wow.
Now, why am I telling you this? Because from today onwards, after this webinar, you look at anything that human design, okay, whether it's advertisement, movie, jet engine, doesn't matter, training course. Ask yourself, what is the designer's intention? Okay, intention. Okay, I think the Arabic word for it is niat, right? Apa tujuan dia? What were they trying to achieve? If you can do that, we call it, engineers, we call it reverse engineering. If you practice that, anything around you, you yourself become a better designer when you do your thing, when you do your project. Right? Okay. So anyway, grandma, grandson, enter restaurant happily, eating happily, right? Yes, fantastic design. Design has been approved. So we shoot the video, right? Development, right? We want to hire Malay, Chinese, Indian, grandma and grandson.
Right.
And they have to write the script in 4 languages, right?
Okay.
And then we shoot the video, right? And Gerard is our expert here. We will shoot as many takes as possible. And then we can do editing later. To produce 30 seconds, I'll probably shoot maybe a few 100 hours, who knows, all right? Because it's expensive to reshoot it later. So we will edit and cut it down to 30 seconds. Okay, first thing, remember? Verification. What do we do? First thing, is it 30 seconds? Yes. Was it a grandma? Yes. Was it a grandson? Yes. Did they mention the beef? Yes. Mention chicken, mention everything. Eating happily, enter happily, right? So everything tick means verified, right? Okay. Remember, the 30-second clip has all the specifications that we wanted, right?
Yes.
So can we confirm it's verified? Okay, fine. Now the tough one, validation. How to validate this? Prove that this video meet the needs of the customer. Now, who's the customer? McDonald's, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, hey, I'm paying you top dollar to get me results. No? So, how do we validate the video now?
Run it through with the customer. Is it?
Right. So you call her, hey, Mr. Ma, your video is ready. Would you like to come and watch it? So I come, right? Is it?
Right.
Not bad, but not enough emphasis on vulgar mas. Quickly show, hey, shorten some scenes and show another scene with more old people, right? The final version I saw on TV, when the grandma, grandson enter a restaurant, a whole table of old people were already there. They stood, come, join us. What's the message?
Wow.
No cucu pun boleh datang. Then the McDonald's manager excited, that's more like it. I approve, okay?
Yes.
But the problem is this, McDonald's manager only 35 years old. No? Can he speak on behalf of the warga mas? No. You may want to do a next level validation. Do a screen test. Go to shopping center. Show to actual old people, right? And what question will you ask them? 30 seconds scan. Show them 30 seconds. And then nowadays you do online. They click, they show the video. Now, if I restrict you to one question, we call it research question. What will you ask them? These old people watch your 30-second video. What will you ask them now after watching the video?
How likely would you be visiting?
Right. Okay. So angkat tangan. Definitely I will come, right? Or definitely won't come, right? Or only with you two, right? I mean, whatever lah. And then we tabulate our results. 60% said ini kanak-kanak punya tempat tak mau datang. This is going to be a disaster, right?
Yes.
If the video not working, it's not attracting people. So is this video validated? Did it meet our customer needs?
No.
No. But was it verified? Did it meet the specs?
Yes.
Yes. So this is again, this example, highlight the difference between verification and validation. So walaupun you meet the spec,
Right.
the needs. So questions, comments. Is it clear the difference between verification and validation?
Getting clearer. I mean, not fully, but slowly more.
Because what happens is in most industries, when people develop new things, right? New products, new process, whatever, they frequently confuse verification with validation.
Yeah, okay.
I tested, ma, it's okay, ma. But you must test as close to live operating conditions as possible. Okay, we're running short of time. Okay, so quick one. Movies, right? Comedy. You know Hollywood. You know how they test before they release a movie. They go to so small university town, give a free movie to the university students. Researchers inside the cinema, watching the first joke coming in 5 seconds. Do they laugh? Do they laugh very hard? Or they miss the joke? And sometimes they can still adjust, edit the movie. Okay. Now I remember there's a famous Japanese horror movie, Ju-On. Remember that one? When I first watched it, I was not impressed. I didn't find it very scary. My youngest son was 5 years old at the time. They marketed so heavily on TV, coming to TV3. Well, for one whole month, my young boy was saying, I want to walk, I want to see ghosts, I want to see ghosts. But my son was expecting Casper, right? So my wife said, hey, how? So we said, look, we watch him carefully. He looks scared. We turn the TV up. We use remote switch off, okay? But it was not scary, man. There was very little translation, so we didn't know what was happening, all right? And put it this way, it wasn't scary, okay? So I don't know whether Japanese people are very easy to scare or they did not do the validation test like the McDonald's or the comedies or whatever, okay? Right? Okay, short energy interlude because we're about to end, but how many of you have heard of the right brain, left brain? Yeah, just unmute your mic and say yes or no.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any no's?
Yes.
Okay. Right. Now switch on the camera. Let's hope the bandwidth works. Let's try. If not, doesn't matter. Switch the camera. Put your hands straight in the air. Hands straight in the air. All right. Okay. Put your fingers together. Okay, like this. Fingers intertwined. Okay. I'm just going to stretch, change circulation. Now, without releasing the fingers, bring it down in front of your face. Now, look at the position of your fingers. Now, who have the right thumb on top of the left thumb? Like this. Anyone? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, according to the scientists, these people are thinkers. Very good with your brain.
Yeah, that's why I don't wear it.
Okay. Anybody the other way around? Anybody the other way around? The left thumb on top of the right thumb. Anybody the other way? Anybody? Left thumb on top of right thumb. Today, very small sample. Maybe not. Okay. But in case you are, They say these people are sexy.
Mervin.
Oh, yeah.
Huh?
Mervin. Oh, you.
No. I'm right on top of it.
and of course, this is a very small sample, right?
Small
Sometimes you
sample,
see like this. The two thumbs in parallel. What does that mean? If two thumbs in parallel?
Tinker and sexy, is it? Sexy tinker.
Oh, sexy thinker.
I don't
That's
know.
one interpretation. Or another one, I was told, he thinks he's sexy.
Sexy.
Right. Okay. By the way, the right brain, left brain is correct. The thinker is correct, but unfortunately, the sexy is not true. I made it up. Right? That's just to get you to laugh a little bit, right? Okay. Let's go back and finish our topic. Okay. Now, some harder came. I remember I mentioned the parachute, right?
Yes.
How to validate the parachute? Because somebody eventually must jump, right?
Yes.
Who should jump?
Gosh.
Imagine. Hey guys, today's meeting, we are looking for volunteer. Nobody there volunteer, right? Hello, welcome to the meeting today. Today, very important. And may I introduce to you our chief designer, Mervin Shankar.
Oh,
Okay, guys, who do you think should jump first? That's the real thing.
Mervin lah.
Mervin,
We need to ask the chief
Mervin
designer.
himself.
And not, if something go wrong, who's going to
Gone.
check the design? We still need Mervin, right? So Mervin, you're lucky, yeah? Okay.
Is that why they use a chimp?
No.
Dog and
Okay, I agree with you. First, let's start with animals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously you cannot type your rabbit or rat, you know, you have to type something
Yeah.
heavy, because end of the day, it's a human, right? It's soldiers, right? Okay. Fighting in World War II, you know. So, but once you test with animals, let's say you test with a goat. Can you say, hey, don't test with human, very dangerous, test with goat, Cannot. Because we want to invade Germany with soldiers, not with goat, right?
Yes.
If the government tells us, I want you to design a parachute because we're invading Germany with goats, fine, then we pass, we lose. But our design brief was make a parachute that a soldier with all the equipment, about 200 kg. So end of the day, you still have to test a human, right?
Yes.
The animals was a earlier stage testing, maybe. All right. So you know what? In real life, who was the first one to jump? It was a woman. And who was she? The project manager. She was the admiral of the US Navy. And this one, you said the military culture. When the time comes for the real testing, I'll be the first to jump because I will not ask my men to do anything that I will not do myself, right? That's a culture. And after the meeting, Basura, apparently, he asked, hey, Mervin, you stay back. You're my chief designer, right? And she was supposed to have said this to the designer. Hey, you make sure it works. If it fail and I die, I tell you, I swear I will come back as a hantu and I haunt you. So this is a military culture. Okay? So, but I'm just saying that sometimes it's dangerous. Okay, smart tunnel. Now, smart tunnel supposed to be used for draining flood waters, right? So that KL doesn't get flooded, right?
Yes.
Now, imagine that they already finished the tunnel. You have to keep everything working before you sign off. Then we can really open it and run it and get final payment, right?
Yes.
So how to test? You're going to wait for the next budget.
Put somebody inside it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you cannot wait for the next flood. What if it doesn't flood for 5 years? So 5 years no need to open. So again, it's for practical reasons. You cannot have 100% validation, right? What will you do? You have to do a simulation, which is as close as possible to live condition, right?
Okay.
So what's the closest possible? Dump a lot of water in there, right?
In there, yes.
Let the water, then you measure how fast the water flow through, and then you close it off. Then you measure how long it takes to clean up everything and open again to traffic. You have to measure all these things, right?
Yes.
So they did that. Now, at first, they made a request. They talked to people about Inda water, all that. They flatly refused to cooperate. It's crazy. Dump how many millions of liters? The public will be making noise, right? Okay. So finally, they decided, okay, I'll do a very limited trial. Okay, and it worked. Everything was within spec. So the project was approved. Then later, when the first flood came, it worked very well. But the time taken to clean up the tunnel and open the traffic again took a little bit longer than expected. Why? Because in their simulation, they use clean water. In real life, there'll be mud, there'll be a lot of rubbish, right?
Rubbish, yes.
Now imagine, let's say, okay, we learn from this. We're going to build a smart tunnel in Georgetown, Penang. But we tell Penang, hey, our validation will be more accurate than the KL one. We will not only use how many million liter water, we will also throw how much lumpur and dead kambing and get the alarm flora, throw in how many tons of rubbish. I tell you, the environmentalists and the public will be screaming at us, right?
Yeah,
Are you guys crazy? You know? So again, it's just to illustrate, you cannot always do a full-blown validation for some practical purpose. Okay, K7, bullet train windscreen. Now, bullet train was invented later than those jumbo jet. Now, for the aeroplane people, they're flying regularly 900 km. They're worried about the birds flying in the windscreen and shattering windscreen, right? So no problem. Bullet train, even today, you go to 400K, no big deal, right? So they said it should be a piece of cake, right? So they asked they consulted the plane people, how do you do it? How do you validate the design of your windscreen? Of course, we cannot be flying an aeroplane up in the air chasing birds, right? So what they do is they put it in a wind tunnel in a lab, and they have a very powerful fan to simulate the 900 km per hour wind. So we suggest you do the same, except yours is much slower. But should be a piece of cake, you know? But the first time they did it, they said, to simulate the bird, you just buy chicken from the supermarket, and then they invented this cannon to shoot the chicken into the chicken. Yeah, okay? Because you cannot be, can you imagine, drive the bullet train around the countryside, hope to Langa some birds, right? This is ridiculous, right? Okay, so the best thing you can do is simulation of that. The first test, they were shocked because the screen shattered, you know? Change the design, make the thing more turbo, change the angle. Wow, fail. And this was early days, they didn't have internet yet. They used stacks, you know? So the aeroplane guys don't understand. Cannot be. You fly more than half our speed.
Lower,
no problem. So finally said, you fax over all your test results, all your procedures. 1 week later, they fax back. One sheet reply. You know what's the question? What's the suggestion? Defrost your chicken first. So those guys did the assumption. When we said buy chicken at supermarket, they would have bought the frozen chicken.
Frozen one. Oh,
they said, hey, brother, validation, simulation, close to life condition. You mean to say that frozen chicken flying up there in the air? You know? So the moment they bought the defrost chicken, the first test, lulus.
Yes.
So imagine the consequences, the delay, the cost, the stress. Yeah. So a lot of lessons to be learned. Yeah. Okay, the tough one. We already talked about training, right? Okay, the step. The first step is research. How do you do your training needs? Let's say your client, you talk to them, right? Hey, the people you want me to train, how many people, how much experience, what the current competencies are? That's your research, right? And you design your training course, right? Oh, this training will be how many days, how many modules, how many practical exercises, how we assess them, right? So that's your design. Verification. Yes, there were 10 modules. There were how many exercises, etc. Fantastic. Okay. How do you validate the training course? We are going to train 10 batches per year for 5 years or all around the Southeast Asia. How do you validate? You're going to run maybe 50 programs over the next few years. How do you validate this?
We get the participant feedback. We have them the survey questions
Right.
at the end of the course.
So that means you do one first, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So call it a pilot. And tell them it's the pilot. And how do you, maybe not just a questionnaire, you actually observe their competence. That means you teach them to do something. They have to demonstrate to you that they are able to do it or they are knowledgeable in something. That means you have to assess them. It's just like this VLC. We have to deliver a webinar. We have to show that we know how to do this, do that, right?
I see.
Yeah, that's called validation.
Okay.
Then anywhere else you need to improve, then you quickly improve it, and then you run for the other 49 courses. Right? So you do a pilot. So by necessity, the first one is always a bit of a guinea pig.
Yes.
So you can say, look, this is my client. Maybe the guinea pig will be our own people, right? So let's say we are a training company. We do a pilot on not client people, but other people. We get our family or friends or other students to take part in this training course just to test it. Don't expose it to the client if you are worried about that. Now, software is the same. Software, the expert will, of course, so easy, right? But to us user is so unfriendly, right? So there's, they call it user acceptance test. The actual user using the actual software, using actual equipment, using actual data to test it. And they need to do several times to make sure the software is okay before they launch it. I've got an example here called the human mosaic. Do you remember the 1998 Commonwealth Games? You can see it still on YouTube, as the teams enter the stadium, they all, about 1/4 of the stadium full of Malaysian youngsters holding colored cards. When they say England come in, they say England won, they know which card to hold up. Then you see, wow, England flag. Then you see a picture of a Tower of London, all that. And sometimes the Malaysian was the best. They move at different times. See, the Jalur Gemilang is actually moving. So very beautiful. Now, when they tested it, they know that they have to do it for what? Something like 3 hours. And you have to be alone there. You cannot have a rest break. So you need water, right? How do they do it? They have a tube at their mouth connected to a canister, right, at their feet. I think Gatorade or whatever it is, isotonic drink. Okay, because you cannot be thirsty, all that, right?
Yeah.
They even test, everybody the tube. Can you reach or not? Because otherwise you cannot reach the tube with your mouth. Also problem, right? Now that's the input. What about output? What if somebody wants to urinate? How? What would you suggest? And we have to validate this. We have to test it. How will you validate?
Connect to it.
Ayo, and not tube lah. Hey, one photo the stadium lah. Don't know how many thousand Malaysian teenagers were there. Okay, cut the long story short. Everybody was asked to wear adult diapers. I can't remember which brand sponsor. So imagine marketing manager came today. Boys and girls, go to the seminar room. Today they will brief you how to pakai sendiri because nobody going to wear for you, right? And if you don't wear properly, it will leak. No, then imagine the reputation Malaysia. People understand it was a smell. So imagine today, all of us wear the diaper and please drink a lot of water and then go back to your position in the stadium. Validation test number 1, but they didn't call it that lah. Okay, 1, 2, 3, let go. So you let go. Yeah. Make sure it works. That's why it was called the best Commonwealth Games ever up to that point. Now, if that doesn't work, they have to go back and show a video instead, right? Yeah, okay. Now, the last one there, a major meal or event. Remember, you said your mother's birthday or whatever it is, right? Okay. You heard of food tasting, right?
Yeah.
I remember when I was organizing it for my alumni, so if you have enough tables, they'll give you a free table, right?
Oh, yes.
So you go there, you try everything. So I told people, first presentation, everybody comment the buns, the bun kopek lah, and then they taste it, the soup too salty lah, not hot enough lah, the keropok masuk angin lah, all that. Okay, so I gave the comments, and the next day they made all the changes, and therefore the food was great. Okay, so that's also design validation, because things don't always turn out the way you intended. Okay? So as a summary, remember this graph? Do you remember what this was called? This was just our 5-step, right? And then we're saying you patah balik, remember? Just a quick check memory. What do you call that? You have your specs.
Design review.
Yes, this is your review. Thank you very much. And then from your spec, these were the needs, right? These were the specs, and then this was your prototype, right? When you compare your prototype to the design, what do you call it?
Prototype. Verification.
Right, verification. And then when it's verified, you compare to the needs, right? And what do you call that?
Validation.
Validation, right. Thank you very much. You got the general idea.
Okay.
So so some quick questions. Okay, although we are running out of time, no such thing as a bad question. And if you're able to form an opinion, and you've actually asked a lot of questions already, actually during the webinar, it's a good sign. We'll learn something and we'll help you curiosity, right? And I like this quote: "No problem can be solved from the same level of consciousness that created it." So I hope that with today's webinar, you are a little bit more conscious about whatever you are designing, whether it's your training program or new concept or whatever. And you realize that you have all the things we discussed are actually very obvious when it's pointed out to us, right? But if you can think about it, that's what Einstein meant. You must have a next level of consciousness. Okay, right. Very quickly, unmute your mic. What was the one thing from the webinar you didn't know before today? Could be anything. Okay, volunteers?
Okay, validation and verification.
Okay.
That is not just meeting specs, because meeting specs doesn't quite do it. Sorry, that's it.
It is a common misconception that they're more or less the same thing, Yeah. Okay. What about one thing that surprised you? Anyone?
That you have to be the guinea pig. You have the emerald, or you have to do it first. If durian is poison, you die first.
Yeah. Hey, durian cake, I can ask Sabara to test. But Sabara, want to test my brake? No, cannot. Safety.
I cannot test or smell your durian. I don't eat durian. I run away 100 miles.
Oh dear.
We'll ask you to test the chocolate cake. Okay, last one. one idea you would like to go back and implement after the webinar?
One idea, Ma, I think it's not one idea, one request. Can you share the slide?
Yes, certainly. In fact, in my
see what happened here is I find it very interesting. I think I find it very useful. The thing here is that we look at things differently. We think differently. I think this slide will help to put things in perspective and to remind us the process there. It's because I'm still at the stage of now looking at what I'm going to do next. I want to start. I want to do a small business, but I'm jumbled up here and there, and up and down, You can't see it clear, right?
Yeah, sure.
I think this is very useful. That can give me some guidance for me to look at my process.
That's a good idea, Cheryl. Somebody want to start a new business or want to do something very different. Remember, I said you haven't done before.
Yeah.
That's your project. That's your point number one here. Yes.
I can use you also as my guinea pig.
Sure. Okay. So this is my final challenge or learning commitment for all of you. Number one, like Cheryl says, he wants to identify a project that he wants to do, right? Give yourself a time frame. Yeah. Put this in writing on your own to-do list and analyze the outcome after your design validation effort. Okay. Now, this is a suggestion. Apply the model as much as you can, because the more you do it, the better it become. Number two, find a learning buddy. Could be anybody. It doesn't have to be one of the VLC. It could be anybody, not very convenient, a learning buddy. You encourage each other. Stay in touch with your learning buddy and the webinar speaker. I'll be very happy to hear from you. And that's why I put here, okay, I'm going to ask for you. You want to share? And actually, Cheryl just did, all right? So I put my contact here. And you guys all know me anyway. You have my WhatsApp number. And I'll send you the slides immediately after this webinar. Yeah, okay? So you can have all this information. Yeah. And I want to thank everybody, for attending. And of course, the support from Cikgu Nazrin and all the other members of his team. And you can see the third bullet point to all my teachers in the past, present, and future. Whether I read their books or articles or they taught me in person, I humbly thank them. And remember, guys, we are the profession that create all the other professions. We teach, we train, and we improve everything around the world. Actually, we cannot afford to think as individual countries anymore, right? And finally, please give yourself a round of applause for participating. And we'll see you again.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Noah. Very good sharing.
Very good. Very good.
Don't forget to share the PowerPoint, yeah?
Yes, I will do so immediately.
Okay, great. Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you guys. Have a good afternoon.
See you.
Good
Thank you
afternoon.
very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Good learning. Thank you. Bye.
And how do I stop?
Stop share.
Yeah, already stop share. And stop recording.